Love. Yeah, there you go. Very sweet. Hey, good afternoon. It's Nicole and Love Infinity on Positive Impact Magazine's Mind Body show. And today we have Lance with us. I'm sorry, Lance, what was your last name again?
My last name is Supernaw.
Supernaw.
Yes.
Not Superman?
Not today. I've tried to do that. I've tried to be Lance Superman, but I can't get off the ground yet.
Well, I think you've done a lot of work though on yourself. It's like I've seen. I was just taking a look at your energy, and I just see a lot of challenges you've been able to overcome in the past, even from your teen years through your 20 years. You want to just tell everyone a little bit about your story?
Sure, we can go super deep. So,
wait, before you do that, can you remove the logo on the corner?
I don't know if I could do that while we're on it. Let me see. So I might not be able to. I think I have to do it outside of the broadcast.
All right.
Well, just get very close. Your head very close. There you go. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't see any other options right now. The options pop up like when we go offline. So Lance, you have a story to tell. I'm sure you do.
Oh yeah.
Well, first, a little background. He was in combat war.
Yeah, I'll go through it all.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, so as a child, I was in a very, very violent family. My father was a police officer that got away with whatever he wanted to in a small town in Michigan. It wasn't the best of environments to grow up as a kid. It was an abusive environment. My mom and I escaped out of that town when we were 14 years old, and in the middle of the night, and fled to Florida where my grandparents lived. And then that was part of the traumas. And then when I was 18, I went in the military, right to Desert Storm.
Oh, that was the 18. Okay, yeah, the event at 18.
Yeah. As soon as I could enlist, I enlisted. It was the smartest thing for me. So I went to Desert Storm. It was quite eventful for an 18-year-old kid. But that was just the start of many events in my life. I was on active duty. I was a pararescueman in the Air Force. We do combat search and rescue. And I did a lot of it in my life. So I went from Desert Storm to Bosnia, to Kosovo, to Turkey, to Kuwait, to Afghanistan, to Pakistan. I was all over the place.
Wow.
Yeah. So in the military, as rewarding as it was, I did see a lot of traumas. I didn't know that they impacted my life, but they clearly did. I didn't find that out till later on in life.
When you were going through it, it was probably just like, I just need to survive this moment and then I'll be done with it kind of thing. But then you started to realize later on how, right?
When I got off active duty, yeah, that's when when you're in the moment, when you're doing that job, you have a clear and defined mission and you know what you're going to do every single day that you're over there. And there's a brotherhood, a camaraderie with the other people that are there. There's no outside influences like cell phones, TV, cars, traffic. And then when you come back to the States, it's all back in your face. Then I got off the military in 2003. I had two beautiful boys, Jackson and Logan, and things seemed to be going fine. I started working for a bank, so I was home, and then little by little, it started to go down, and it didn't work out so well for me towards the end.
So when you say things were going down, what was going on in your life? Were you starting to really act out, or were you just being more and more insulating and depressed, or how did it how did it present itself?
I started using alcohol quite a bit.
Nightmares. You had nightmares?
Yeah.
You went to the VA?
Yeah, I didn't go to the VA till much later though.
Oh.
Yeah, so I started drinking a lot.
So at that time, can I just ask, at that time, was PTSD even a thought in your mind?
Nope.
No.
It never even crossed my mind. I thought I was too powerful for that. I thought I was invincible, to be honest with you. I was like, there's no way that could happen to me. And in 2003, when I got out, PTSD wasn't even a word.
That's what I was going to say. That was really early. Yeah.
It's just, so I went to a psychiatrist and a psychologist, and they said I had ADHD, which made sense to me because I was always vibrating, and they put me on Adderall, Ambien, and Xanax. And I flew with those drugs for a long time, until I got to the max dosages of all three of them.
Can I say that and people at home may not like realize this or understand this, but historically, every reading I give where someone asks me about ADD or ADHD, very interesting that you said that, and the relationship that you had with your dad. So
yeah,
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to point that out.
All right. So I think I was misdiagnosed for sure. But since the doctors gave me those drugs, I took those drugs on top of drinking alcohol. In 2001, I lost my best friend, which I once again, I didn't think it impacted me as much as it did. And my wife at the current time kept asking me to get more help. Can you get more help? There's got to be someone you can talk to. And once again, I threw that barrier up that I'm invincible. I don't need it. I never even took the time to cry or to mourn it. So I was trucking along, had a successful career in banking, thought that making money was like the answer to everything. And it seemed that way, right? And then my poor wife was like taking the brunt of me coming home from work and me drinking too much. And I think I got probably verbally abusive with her, never physical, but verbally. I would say nasty things. And I don't even know why. Like I said, I don't even know why I would say them. And then after I would say them, I would feel regretful and remorse. In 2016, I finally went to the VA. I bowed, like, I need help. And they put me on Trazodone and Zoloft, and which just numbed me.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked around that way for a couple of years, and ended up getting divorced. And,
sorry.
No, it's all right. It's what made me what I am today. I got divorced and took those pills, and then realized at some point.
Oops, you froze up.
Taking those pills.
I hope it's not just me that sees. I think that. Oops. Was that me or you? Better by the router, love?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
All right, are we back on? So anyway, I took those pills, and then they didn't serve me well because I became a zombie.
Sure.
And then I found some treatment after that. But there's been a lot of traumatic things in my life. Some of them I caused myself, and some of them were just life in general. But anyway, so in a nutshell, I got help, and here I am today. I mean, I've got my kids part-time. I'm divorced, obviously. I started another company, and started a nonprofit called Warrior Quest to help veterans.
I love that. Can you tell us a little bit about the whole purpose of Warrior Quest? That would be great. So
within Warrior Quest, I realized that pills are not the answer. So Warrior Quest sends people to retreat centers outside of the VA system. It's holistic, non-pill approach to treatment. So we provide the airfare. We pay for the treatment facility. We pay for all the costs. And then the third Thursday of each month, I have a vet group meeting in Orlando. And then after that, we have kind of like a little holistic retreat that we do around a fire pit.
It's just an opportunity for you all to share with each other, or do you have a specific topic you hit on?
It starts out, I tell my story first, and then that's a catalyst to get the other people to open up, because I truly believe that telling your story, once you can tell your story without crying, like the first time I told my story, I couldn't get through the first 2 minutes without crying. And then I kept telling it and telling it and telling it. And I can get 5 minutes and 10 minutes. Then pretty soon I could tell my whole story and not cry anymore. And then I look back at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was my life. It was a part of my life. And so other people see that. So they start telling their stories, and then it gets easier and easier. So I think through storytelling, it makes it easier to deal with the traumas. I don't know. It just seems to work.
I agree. And I think that even more than the storytelling is the ability to kind of hear other people's objective stories that it eliminates the emotionality from it, after a while, like you said. And I think once you get to that point, you are truly on your path to healing, because that's the thing that's destroying it, or you and your energy, is that feeling that, this is a part of you and it'll never go away. It's never going to stop being painful, but it does at some point. You start to see that transition point, and that's what you were experiencing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So when you talk to your sons about this, they must have lived through part of your journey with you, obviously, because they were in the house, and I'm sure, based on your past experiences, you wanted to be there as much as you could for them. But when you share this information with your sons, how old are they now, and how do you share it with them? How do you approach difficult topics with your children?
So the first thing is that my kids are 16 and 17. I always thank them, because throughout the whole process, they never gave up on me, which is amazing. They saw their dad drinking too much. They saw their dad probably not being as good of a husband as he could have been. They saw their dad move out of the house. But still to this day, I tell my kids, I say, listen, guys, I said, I made all the mistakes so you don't have to. I truly believe that my kids, because of my struggles, became better adults, young adults. They're juniors and seniors in high school, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, I've never had to punish my children ever to this day. It may come down the road, but literally people talk about their children and what they get away with, and my kids.
Don't you feel that? Because I also have experienced that as well. I have 3 sons, and we didn't serve in the military. God bless you, and thank you for your service, for all of the things that you've done. I can't imagine. But we did have some rocky times. We went through an embezzler and in bankruptcy, and then a foreclosure, and all these things were happening. But I honestly, now my sons are 23, 21 this year, and 15. And I feel like it's given them such a sense of grounding and value about what's important, what isn't. Do you find the same thing?
I do, because we've got friends that have never had struggles in their life, and I look at my children and I look at their children, and I'm blessed that I have my children.
Amen. Absolutely. And in the moment, for as much as you want to shelter your kids like that, and prevent them from experiencing the negative things, I do think it gives them perspective, and I honor that within you had the strength to pull yourself up and out of that, which is incredible. So when you coach, let's say when you coach someone who's experiencing PTSD from similar experiences that you had, like, what's the first thing that you tell them?
I tell them, even though you may not think that I've been there, I've been there. I bring myself to their level, because the first thing the people will say is that you don't know what I'm talking about, and I clearly, through my experiences, I give them a little short bio of what I've been through to bring them into the realm that they can open up to me. Because if I come to them from a feeling of just not experiencing the same thing they're experiencing, they're not going to open up to me.
Right.
I tell them that I did have thoughts of suicide, that I was depressed, that I didn't want to get out of my bed, that I did take the pills, that I am divorced, that I did lose my company, that I did get arrested. I literally almost have a check in each box, and only because I have a check in each box, and it's a credit. I don't want to say credibility, but it's almost like a credibility thing with them. They're like, "Oh, this guy, maybe he has been there." So then,
empathy.
then they open up to me, and then they say, yeah, I felt like killing myself last night. And I'm like, well, let's talk about that. And then I give them hope, because, I had to do the work. I really did. But the fact I always say, without hope, you have nothing.
Right.
And I try to give them hope. And the fact that I'm healthy now, I'm healthier. It's an everyday event. I work on myself. But there is hope. Like I started another company. I started a nonprofit. My kids are amazing.
Oops, you froze up again. Damn.
Yeah.
Can you just, Lance, can you just repeat that last sentence? Because I lost you there.
I just talk about hope. Without hope, you got nothing. And then, I like to give people hope. And because I was able to turn my life around, and I tell them that, I say, listen, look at where I was and look at where I'm at today. You're where you're at right now. I can help guide you. I can tell you what I did to get healthy, but you have to do it. And some people haven't hit rock bottom yet. And I find out those people, until they hit rock bottom, they're not ready. I literally was in an orange jumpsuit in jail. I lost my mortgage license. I was counting change to feed my kids. Mm-hmm. My car got repossessed. I couldn't pay my bills. And I looked at myself and I'm like, man, you have to make a change, because this is not a way to live your life. And until I did hit rock bottom. And also I realized that all the people that I thought were my friends weren't my friends, because mm-hmm. nobody was around anymore. And I was too prideful to reach out to my parents. I had a huge ego that I needed to break through. Hitting rock bottom helped me almost overcome everything. Mm.
Do you find that you ever come across the person who is just like defiantly holding on to, the pain and the suffering?
Yeah, almost everybody. I try to get them to release it.
Well, you become addicted to it. It becomes part of your story.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it does. But through storytelling, you get it out. And honestly, so that's their trauma. Some people cling to it because that's their identity.
That's right.
But there is something past this, and you have to go. You have to let it go. I did this training. It was called cognitive behavioral theory or training. It's you take your single most traumatic thing to happen to your life, and they talk you through it, and they talk you through it, and they talk you through it. And mine was my buddy that passed away. I talked him. He got off active duty. I talked him into coming back on active duty, and he died on his first mission. And I felt totally responsible for it. And they're like, "Well, do you think Doug wanted to do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Do you think Doug would be happy that you're upset about it?" And I'm like, "No." But still, it was ingrained in my brain, and I had lived it so many times that it became a part of my life. I've released it. I have. I still think about him every day, but I don't blame myself anymore.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the hardest part is for people who are healing from massive trauma, is to see themselves without the trauma. Mm-hmm. To see themselves as their potential, as God has intended. Because we like, you've experienced, I've experienced, people that we work with, they become so attached, and they want ownership of that pain. They want ownership because it describes who they are right now. And it's only because they haven't been given another example of what they could be, and I just think what you're doing is so important, so valuable. Do you have different chapters? Are you thinking about expanding?
So, yeah, that's my vision, right? Is to make it a national thing. Like I call it Warrior Quest USA. And we're small. I think we've reached out to like 220 veterans so far.
Do you have a website?
It is. It's warriorquestusa.com.
I'm just going to put this in the notes, because if anyone would like to support in any way, or maybe if you yourself were a victim of some trauma in the military, maybe you would like to reach out and head up a chapter. Either, I know you're located in Florida, but I have people who follow me who watch from Texas and New York and Connecticut and California. So someone out there, if you want to start a new chapter, right, get in touch with Lance.
Absolutely, absolutely. And having the meetings is the most important thing. I'm a part of the Wounded Warriors, and I know a lot of people have some discourse about the Wounded Warrior program, but it was amazing to me. I'm not gonna lie. When I was struggling, they would call me every week and do like a buddy check for me.
I think especially given that you had this really strong experience with a tribe in the military, I think that has to almost be replicated so that a positive thing can happen out of that now. And I think that's perfectly intuitive and on point for what you need to do or what you have been doing. Obviously, you've had quite a bit of success. What's the biggest success story that's come out of your experience so far?
So my business success story, I got a phone call on a Saturday, and it was like, hey, you need to call this veteran. He's struggling. And it was Saturday, and I was with my kids, and I'm like, I'm going to call this guy on Monday. Something in my head said to call this guy now. So I walked outside and I called him, and he was in his car, and he was driving, and I'm not going to say his name, but something just didn't feel right. I said, so where are you driving to? He goes, I'm just driving around. And this just popped into my head. I said, do you have your handgun with you right now? He's like, yeah. So I said,
I'm getting chills already. Go ahead.
Are you thinking about committing suicide? He goes, I have no reason to live. So on that phone call, I said, I'm going to help you. He's like, he's like, there's no help. I said, I'm going to help you. And so I talked to him for a little bit. I made him promise me that he wasn't going to commit suicide. Over the phone, I made him say it 3 times. Lance, I am not going to commit suicide. And I had him repeat it, and he said it to me. So we sent him to the retreat center, and when the retreat was over with, he was telling his story, and he told the story that he was on his way to find an isolated spot to kill himself.
That's great success.
And I was like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that I took that phone call, and I'm so happy that I called him. I'm still friends with him to this day. Him and his wife were on the outs, and he's back with his wife.
Wow.
He sent me a picture of the baseball team that he's coaching now. Yeah, it's amazing. So I honestly believe that if I didn't make that phone call, that he was going to go commit suicide.
That's incredible. That's incredible. What a great story that you were able to be proactive on his behalf. You are a living angel.
Yes, and that's a good place to end because it's 1:30, and if anybody needs to get a hold of him.
Yeah, so I just posted your website, but is there any other, do you have an Instagram, Twitter, or a LinkedIn page, anything?
I do a lot on Facebook. So my name is Lance Supernaw. My Facebook is just Warrior Quest USA. I post a lot of testimonials on Facebook. I have guys that talk about where they are at and what they did on active duty and where they're at now. If anybody's struggling and they feel like life is hopeless, call me. My cell phone is 321-698-1592. 321-698-1592. I take phone calls. I just took one about 2 hours ago, a gentleman that's struggling with addiction of alcohol and probably more things than that.
And every vet that I've ever given him to, he calls right away and talks with them.
Yeah.
Aww.
Anybody. It doesn't even have to be a vet, but he has a kindred experience.
I'm just saying, if you're struggling, to call that number.
Yeah, reach out.
Thank you for
and you are not alone. If you're watching this post podcast air right now, you are not alone. You are not alone.
You're not.
We are here for you.
I'm a living example of you can be in the darkness, the complete darkness, and find the light. And it's so much more amazing to live in the light than it is the dark.
Yes. And you all have gifts that God wants you to share with each other. So don't snuff out that light yet. You gotta Bring it. Okay. Thank you so much, Lance. I appreciate your time. You are an amazing guy, and I'm so happy you are alive to help others heal.
God bless you.
God bless you. We'll talk later. Bye. I love you, love. Bye, everyone.